The life of a chair. The life of the chair. I won't say that I wasn't surprised when I saw the topic given to us. And now here I am in front of the camera with my story. I'll bet you would love to hear the life of, say, a pirate chair, ready to serve the captain as a place to rest wherever he goes. Even the story of a chair of a scholar would be interesting, or a mad scientist, or maybe a throne. Wouldn't that be a grand story? But no, those tales are for another day. Today, we, or rather you, shall be hearing the simple story of a simple chair. Let us begin. Now first we should have to go back a couple of years to when our chair was made. It began a long time ago, a time before the world wars, when there was a general sense of peace in the land. It was one of those old scenic villages with a wooden bridge and a well-groomed front yards, where our chair was born. It all started when old Mr. Woodstock, the town carpenter, had a few pieces of wood left over and decided to use them to rouse his grandson, young Ollivander's interest in carpenting. So after 5 days and 12 hours of hard work, love, and a great deal of patience on Mr. Woodstock's side, our chair was made. In fact, Ollivander was so fond of the chair that he gave it a name, Oki. Now, despite his name, Oki was not made out of oak. He was made out of spruce and a little bit of redwood. Oki was a favorite of Ollivander's. His very first letter from him to his Aunt May, along with a collection of drawings, paintings, school assignments, and a lot more mischief, was done while sitting on Oki. But as Ollivander grew older, Oki got smaller and smaller. At least that's how it seemed to Ollivander. So finally, Mr. Woodstock took Oki to his shop and sold him for 12 pounds, which is a lot for a chair made by a 5-year-old boy. The buyer was an old man who was looking for furniture to furnish his granddaughter's room, now that she was going to be living with him due to her parents' death. Her name was Lucy, and she was about a year younger than Ollivander, but just as lovable and twice as fun. And yet, once in a while, Oki would sit awake at night and wonder about Ollivander and how he was doing. As much as he denied it to himself, he missed his old master. After 9 years with Lucy, even she grew too big for Oki, and he was kept in a dusty attic, abandoned again by his second owner. By the time he was finally taken out, he was a very old chair, and yet was in a very good condition. He was dusted and then put out in the front yard with a price tag that read 13 pounds. 2 days after the sale had begun, poor Oki was beginning to feel disheartened. If no one bought him, then he would go back to the attic. He had almost given up when a young man came over. He gave Oki a glance and looked startled. "Well, it looks awfully like him," he muttered and then chuckled to himself. Then he raised his voice and called, "Mary, come here. It would be perfect for Sarah, don't you think?" A young woman came over, looked at Oki and answered, "Yes, it would. But look at the price, Ollivander. 13 pounds. Ollivander." Oki was shocked, both happy to see his maker and sad because of what the woman had said. But to his surprise, Ollivander was adamant on buying the chair, and by the end of the day, Oki lay in the back of his car, wondering how he was so lucky enough to find his master. And it is in that very house that Oki stayed until he was so old and eaten by termites that he crumbled to dust and joined the soft sand. The end.